It's got a lot of big names behind it, including George Clooney and Ben Affleck, and it's streaming right now on Amazon Prime Video. Let's talk about The Tender Bar. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film, The Tender Bar, available on Amazon Prime Video right now for free if you are a Prime member. This did get a small theatrical release a couple of weeks ago, right before the new year. You know, they have to push it to theaters to make it Oscar contendable. And we'll see if it sort of reaches that mark. Ben Affleck already got a Golden Globe nomination for his supporting role in this film. So we could talk about that as well and the Oscar chances. But first, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. And if you do like Oscar quality movies and things that might get nominated, well, I've put a whole slew of them on my channel for you to watch, and I have Oscar Watch sort of in the title there after the movie review name. A lot of them I still have to get to, that are on a lot of people's lists, but, Power of the Dog and West Side Story and Coda, a lot of the ones people are talking about, I certainly have put up for Oscar Watch, so you can check out those videos and consider subscribing as well to the channel. Would love to have you aboard as one of my subs. Let's talk about this movie. So why is Ben Affleck more of the supporting actor here? Because he's the marquee name. He's what everybody's talking about. Well, it's not really his story. It's a story about this dude J.R. Moehringer, and it is based on a memoir, an autobiography from years ago by J.R. And Ty Sheridan plays him for most of the movie. There is a young version played by Daniel Ranieri. He is billed as an introducing, and he doesn't have a ton of scenes because he's only the young version, but man, he's really good. He could be one to watch in years going forward. He's real good in this movie. But most of the movie, JR is played by Ty Sheridan, and we've seen him in many things from Mud to the X-Men movies to Ready Player One. He always gives us a pretty solid performance, and he does the same here as JR. But essentially, he is this young man who is seeking a replacement for his father, who disappeared shortly after his birth. He hears his father a lot because he is a radio DJ of some prominence, but in terms of knowing him, not so much. He's met him a couple of times, but not really, much of a figure in his life. He's played by Max Martini. So JR sort of takes comfort in some other members in his family, including his Uncle Charlie, played by Ben Affleck, and Christopher Lloyd as his grandfather. And Lily Robb as well, you may know her. She plays Mother Dorothy. But really, it's his bond with his uncle, Ben Affleck, a little bit with his grandpa, too, that makes this movie what it is. And Charlie, runs a bar, so that's the uncle character. So JR also sort of falls in with some of those guys at the bar for some life lessons and stuff like that. He wants to be a writer. He wants to go Ivy League and this and that. And so this is basically his journey to get there, I mean, we know he wrote the book for this, so he eventually became a writer, right? But his journey along the way, with newspapers and stuff like that. So because this is a coming-of-age story and this man is full-grown now, this does take place mostly in, like, the 70s and 80s era. I would say, early to mid-80s more than anything, probably, into maybe some early 90s. I don't think it gets that far. They never quite specify, I don't think, what year we're in. But George Clooney directed this and co-wrote it with his, or co-produced it, I should say, with his writing partner, Grant Heslov. But they did not write it. It was written by William Monahan. I really wanted to like this movie. It's got a lot of firepower behind it. I love all of these names. Ben Affleck does turn in a very, very good performance. I don't think Affleck ever really lets us down. I think he was a great Batman. I think that movie he came out with right when COVID hit, The Way Back, boy, he was excellent in that. I'm not sure if he lives up to, some of his best roles here, but I can see why he was nominated for a Golden Globe. In terms of Oscar chances for this movie, I don't really see them. I think there's an outside chance that Affleck could get a supporting actor nomination, but I wouldn't count on that. And also, maybe an outside chance for an adapted screenplay. notice from the Academy. But other than that, I don't think we're looking at an Oscar contender here. And part of the reason is it is just a very bland film. And I like a lot of the stuff George Clooney has directed, but he's certainly hit or miss in terms of that. I think the material needs to be top notch for him to really shine behind the director's chair. I think Good Night and Good Luck is a great example of that. But he stumbles, I think, with more generic material. The one he did last year for Netflix, was that called The Midnight Sky? I feel like it was. And you know, that was very sort of by the numbers as well. And this one is the same. I mean, and Ben Affleck is great. Ty Sheridan is very good, and the young boy that plays you know, the young version of JR, you know, I think he is great as well. But at the end of the day here, this is just a very, very generic story. Yeah, I will say the music picked, you know, I'm pretty big on the music in a movie, adding to the atmosphere. And I don't love it when a movie has music that is either, you know, overly generic and, oh, this is used in every movie. And no, this was not that. You know, I think they chose some interesting pieces that definitely fit the time period, but they were not, you know, worn numbers from the time, you know, not songs you hear in every movie. So that was a little bit of a standout, but the rest of the movie needed to sort of match the pace of that originality, because it really didn't. You know, there's fine performances, but everything is real paint by numbers here. I would say the biggest revelation is Daniel Ranieri as the young JR. I think he is great here in the few scenes he's in. Could be one to watch for sure. The older JR, by the way, in narration form is Ron Livingston, which I thought was Luke Wilson. I didn't realize their voices sounded so similar, but about halfway through the movie, I was like, this has got to be Luke Wilson, right? And I looked it up. And it's Ron Livingston, who I also really like, you know, from Office Space and Sex and the City. But yeah, this needed a lot more originality. You know, Clooney didn't really give us anything special behind the camera. Ben Affleck, maybe a bit of a standout, but, you know, to call this one of his best roles, I think would be a mistake. You know, everything about this movie is just fine. You know, I wasn't necessarily bored watching it, but it never wowed me. It never gave me anything shocking. So for that, I don't think we'll be seeing it come Oscar season, but maybe an adapted screenplay, but I think that's a long shot. And I think if it does, that's just because of the Clooney firepower behind it. You know, the Academy loves Clooney, and with good reason, but this was not among his best. I'm going to leave The Tender Bar with a C+. All right, so that will do it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do check out my other Oscar movie reviews if you're in that mindset of, okay, it's 2022 now, gotta catch all my Oscar movies here. You can check my reviews out first, spoiler free. So, all right, we'll see you next time. Bye.